Week in Sports presents Basketball 90, brought to you by Cable TV North Central and KABL Channel 52. Tonight from Spring Lake Park Senior High School, it's the Irondale Knights being hosted by the Spring Lake Park Panthers. Hello everybody, along with Steve Lynn, Charlie Stellick, as we come from North Suburban Conference territory as the Spring Lake Park Panthers host the Irondale Knights. Steve, it's a game that the Irondale Knights have been looking forward to for a little while. They haven't had too many easy ones in their conference schedule so far.
No, and you're going to tell us a little bit more about Irondale. I'm going to be talking about Spring Lake Park, so go ahead.
So for the Irondale Knights, let's take a look at what they're up to. The Irondale Knights so far, coming into tonight's game, are 7-4 overall and 2-3 in the conference. They're led, as Spring Lake Park will be, by a first-year head coach, Chuck Gunderson. Gunderson came out of the system at Forest Lake and will be coaching the Knights for the first time this season. The Knights coming into this game have probably one of the more fearsome lineups on paper that you could find in the North Suburban Conference. They've got Jeremy Lane at 6'9" and 240 pounds. Mike Vance goes 6'8", and James Abrahamson, a co-captain, is also at 6'4". They've got balanced scoring. All 5 starters have led the team in scoring in one game or another. And Chuck Gunderson says that using a zone is not effective against a tall team because they've basically been able to shoot over any zone that somebody has been able to do. So why have the Irondale Knights not gone undefeated in the North Suburban Conference? 2 things have really disassociated with them with the top spot in the North Suburban Conference. One is free throw shooting. They are atrocious. They are about 59% as a team going into this game, and free throw shooting has lost them a couple of games, particularly against Totino Grace and St. Francis. The other thing is that the Knights really aren't in sync yet offensively. They wanted to try a running game. They can do that, but against Roseville and St. Paul Central, that was effective. Earlier in the season in the North Suburban Conference, it has not been effective. So going to the half court has been kind of a change of pace for them, one that they have yet to get used to. Steve, let's talk about the Spring Lake Park Panthers. Panthers coming into this game have a record a little bit less than Irondale, but they're scrappy nonetheless.
Yeah, they've actually only averaging about 4 points less than they're giving up, so they're really not getting blown out of any games. They put a fairly veteran lineup. They lost Lance Olson last year, but he's really the only starter. They've got Greg Berge back. They got Tim and Pat Schusted. So they've got some guys that know how to play and have seen a lot of action. But as you mentioned, they're under a first-year coach, Todd Bergstedt, as so many other teams in the conference are. And it's tough getting used to a new system. Dennis Kirschke, who coached here for a lot of years, has taken a sabbatical. And no matter how veteran you are, a new coach has his certain ways. And Spring Lake Park is getting used to a new kind of game this year. We've seen them in the past, strictly a running team, very little half-court offense. They lived and died on the run. They had a lot of turnovers, but that was part of their game. This year they're still having the turnovers, but they're making them in the half-court offense, and that's what's really killed them, along with their free throw shooting. They are also pretty poor, and they've lost some games right at the end of the games because of their poor free throw shootings that they had a chance to win. Their tallest player is Anders Korsgren. He's 6'4", but he's only gone 1 for 21 in his last 2 games. He's been in a real slump, and he's not a real banger inside. He's not somebody that can go up against Jeremy Lane. Their best rebounder would be Tim Schusted, but he's only 6'1". Lane's got 8 inches and probably about 80 pounds on him. So it's going to be very tough for Spring Lake Park to get the ball inside. I don't see him getting a lot of putbacks. I don't see him getting a lot of rebounds. So they're going to have a very high percentage of shooting tonight to have any chance in this game. Defensively, they're going to have to play man-to-man because Irondale will shoot over zone or just get the ball into Jeremy Lane. So they're going to have to play in-your-face, man-to-man, try and force the turnover, get the ball into the half court, be patient, look for a good shot, and hope they hit the outside.
Okay, let's take a look at the keys to winning. First of all, for the Irondale Knights. The Knights coming into this game knowing they have to do a number of things. The first is balanced scoring. The Knights would like to see a couple of people in double figures. Jeremy Lane would be the obvious candidate, but Mike Vance is the man that Todd Bergstedt of Spring Lake Park is worried about. Vance may have a big game against the Panthers tonight as well. Use the obvious mismatches. We mentioned Jeremy Lane at 6'9" and Mike Vance at 6'8". That is several inches taller than any player that Spring Lake Park can put on the floor. So when they're running their half-court offense, they're going to be looking for the mismatches and going to the tall people if they can get them. And the fourth period free throw shooting is crucial. We mentioned their free throw shooting earlier. As a team, they're shooting just 59% over the last couple of games. They're going to have to improve upon that because the Panthers, being as scrappy as they are, will foul at the end of the game to get themselves into better position. Steve?
Well, for Spring Lake Park to have a chance tonight, they're going to have to cut down on those half-court turnovers that I was talking about. You expect them some in transition, but when you're half-court offense, you should know what you're doing, you should know where everybody's going, and there's really no excuse for throwing the ball away. The perimeter shooting they're going to have to do. We mentioned they're not going to be able to get the ball inside. Irondale's got 3 guys 6'4" or better, so they're not going to bang it inside. Anders Corcoran and Pat Schusted are going to have to hit. Maybe Greg Berge too from the outside. It's going to have to get going. 3-pointers could be a big key for them. And finally, as with Irondale, free throw shooting. Late in the game, if it comes down to it, Spring Lake Park just hasn't shown that they can do it, and if they're going to win, they're going to have to hit those free throws when it counts.
Okay, that's our pregame from the barn here in Spring Lake Park. We'll be back with the starting lineups and the opening tip-off right after you see this. You're watching KABL 52. From Spring Lake Park High School, the Irondale Knights and the Spring Lake Park Panthers get ready to face off on the hard court. Let's take a look at the lineups as we get set for tonight's game between the Panthers and the Knights, and we'll start with Irondale's lineup first. Irondale coming into the game with Wade Copeland starting out at 1 guard. Copeland, a 5'11", and wearing number 13. Second man is Adam Stevens. He is a 6'1" guard, wearing number 21. Mike Vance, a forward at 6'7". He's listed here. He's been called 6'8", and he's wearing number 5. Number 35 belongs to James Abrahamson. He's a 6'4" forward, wearing number 35. And Jeremy Lane, starting out at center, a 6'9" center, wearing number 55. All seniors for the Irondale Knights tonight. Now let's take a look at the Spring Lake Park Panthers. And the Panthers coming into this game looking for an upset of sorts against the Irondale Knights if they can possibly force it. A quicker team, and Irondale has had trouble with them. And it might result in that for the Panthers. Starting lineup, Greg Berg, as we've been told his name is pronounced, rather than Sue Berge that we've known from girls basketball. He will start out at a 5'10" guard, and he's wearing number 21. Pat Schusted is the other guard. He's 5'10", and he's a junior wearing number 33. Anders Korsgren, up until a couple of games ago, the leading scorer for the Panthers. He's at 6'4" and a senior, and he's wearing number 32. Ross Chambers wearing number 40. He's a 6'3" forward, and he's a senior wearing number 40. And then the center for the Panthers wearing number 50, Tim Schusted. I should say Ross Chambers. It's a 3-forward offense, but Ross Chambers, let's take a look at his. He's wearing number 40. Tim Schusted at number 50, and he is a 6'2" senior. So there's the lineups for tonight's game between the Knights and the Panthers. There is Todd Bergstedt in his first year for the Spring Lake Park Panthers. Dennis Krischka, as we've told you, the longtime coach for Spring Lake Park, on sabbatical and coaching at Anoka Ramsey. And there in the red sweater is the first-year head coach for the Irondale Knights, Chuck Gunderson, coming down from Forest Lake for the coaching duties. And again, Steve, another coach that isn't in the building. Not too much they can do about it, but that's where it is for the Knights and the Panthers.
A lot of coaching changes this year.
Especially in the boys division. 2 coaching changes right here. And the game is underway with Irondale looking for some half-court offense right away. Abrahamson over to Vance. Vance on a wing looking for Lane. Lane tried to catch that, but it was off his fingertips. And coming up with it was Anders Korsgren.
And that's what we expected to see Spring Lake Park do. Get in the face, man-to-man defense, come over and help out, try and trap, and create the turnovers. And they won't run much this year, as we've seen them in the past. They're going to be very patient.
Irondale coming out in a 2-3 zone and trying to shoot over it is Ross Chambers. It doesn't fall, and back come the Knights. Vance leads the attack. Just underway at Spring Lake Park. No score between the Knights and the Panthers. Over to Lane, they try the play once again. Turnaround jumper is good. Schusted over to Korsgren. They're just trying to look for movement, trying to find somebody with the ball, and fouling. Adam Stevens will get the foul. First team personal. Referees tonight are Sam Jetma and Dave Peterson.
Oh, not a good pass there. Got away with it.
Put it up against 6'9" Vance, and that was they had to move that to the right a little bit.
Yep, Schustad had to alter his shot. You're going to see a lot of that. Irondale's got a tremendous height advantage.
Trying to get it inside to Jeremy Lane, and they're going to pump his scoring figures up a little bit tonight.
Well, I'm sure that that's their game plan. If they can get in there, there's really nobody going to be close to him that has any chance of blocking his shot, so I would imagine he'll either score a lot and possibly go to the free throw line a lot tonight.
Lane got a hand on that one. Back come the Knights. They like to run if they can get a chance to. Having to pull up is Stevens. Now he turns and fires a shot, and coming up with a rebound is Spring Lake Park, and they get a foul on Jeremy Lane.
Trying to reach in there. Not a good foul at this juncture.
Now the Panthers would not mind seeing Lane get into foul trouble early.
Kind of a 1-1-3 zone, back to a 2-3 now.
Shot off the front of the rim and back to the side. It's rebounded by Vance. Back the Knights come. Here's Copeland from the free throw line. Doesn't get the jump and the bounce. Vance turns around with no pressure and sinks it.
I don't know why Vance didn't take that up right away, but got the 2 anyway.
6-0 lead early for the Knights. 5:32 left here in the first period over the Spring Lake Park Panthers.
Longtime viewers of KABL, as we see a three-pointer, no good, may remember Tack Copeland. Played for Irondale for a few years.
Brother shooting three-pointers for Augie now.
Nice rebound up and in by James Abramson.
Very quickly, Irondale going up 8-0 on Spring Lake Park. Left-handed shot, and boy, Spring Lake Park, Steve, just cold as could be. They've had a couple around the rim, but nothing falling so far.
And we've mentioned perimeter shooting is going to be very good, very important for him. But they're getting even better than perimeter shots and not putting them in until that one. Ross Chambers.
They find Lane on the strong side. Lane again with that turnaround. That doesn't fall. Ball tapped away from Abramson.
Greg Bird going to get called.
So Berg picks up his first personal. 8-2, Knights and Panthers in North Suburban Conference action, and it's decidedly Knights all the way. As Lane from way outside takes a shot, had some nice form on it. We don't know if that's Lane's range.
I think in a game like this, especially if they get up, he'll try and test his range a little bit. You never know when you may need it.
Ross Chambers puts in a turnaround, and Jeremy Lane didn't come out to stop him. Abramson trying to find Lane. Lane with no trouble at all catching the pass, but with some trouble putting it in.
Just put it up a little bit too hard. Nice pass, nice grab.
A little trouble with the ball by Schustad as he tried to bring it up. They've got Vance on Korsgren, so Korsgren will not get a whole lot of outside shooting tonight.
Unless they swing him over to the other side.
That's their plan if they can get to it. Reverse layup, and it doesn't fall. Back up, and that'll be Lane's second foul. Nice work by Chambers. Well, they'll give that to Abramson. It'll be the team's third. Spring Lake Park with 4 to give as Chambers misses this free throw.
Even early in the game, you can see where free throws are very important. Got the second.
8-5, Spring Lake Park gets 1. 3-point lead for the Knights. They started out with an 8-0 lead, and Spring Lake Park has slowly whittled it away. Vance from the three-point shot, just inside it.
Irondale's certainly not shy about putting up the ball.
No, they aren't. I think they think they've got enough rebounding power inside that they can do so, but certainly Spring Lake Park has been doing a better job of rebounding and a better job of penetrating.
And Tim Schustad with a very strong move to the hoop there.
Up against Lane, and Lane lost the ball. It'll go Spring Lake Park's way. Lane protesting that he was fronted by Schusted.
Well, I also think that he believes that a Spring Lake Park Panther tipped the ball out of bounds.
8-7. Spring Lake Park can take the lead with this possession. They were down by 8-0. Inside pass. Oh, what a beauty.
Beautiful pass, and Korsgren with a great job of freeing himself there.
Well, they're swinging people along the baseline, Steve, and so far Irondale hasn't picked it up.
Well, Berg did a heck of a job there. He made that play. What
hard
a
off
rip.
the glass. I think he was trying for that corner of the tape. No touch.
Well, that one, it was a line shot. I wish I could hit a softball like that.
Irondale still in a 2-3 zone, but Spring Lake Park has found ways to penetrate it. Shot from behind, and Abramson will come down with this one. Chambers trying to put it up on the turnaround.
I think with the lead, Spring Lake Park should take a lot better shots than that. I thought there was a travel.
Doesn't matter as Chambers comes down with the ball. You're right, Steve, a little bit of walking, but
Well, Spring Lake Park's got to be very patient with it here. Run their offense. Hey, right there, that's a shot.
Schusted tripped over a knee, and Dave Peterson will call that as a travel.
You could see Chambers had swung himself into the right corner all by himself. They got to take that open shot when they get it, because they're not going to have too many with this height advantage of Irondale.
Now the Panthers swinging into a kind of a matchup. Three-pointer put up, and that is off the rim and no good. Last man to touch it was Copeland. It'll be Spring Lake Park ball. They have the lead. 1:48 left here in the period at 9-8.
You could hear that ball coming hard off that rim. Our microphones take you into the game.
Korsgren from way outside and nails the three-pointer. 12-8, Spring Lake Park over Irondale.
That's important for Korsgren to hit those early shots. As I mentioned in the pregame, just 1 for 21 his last two games. If he can get hot, Spring Lake Park's going to have a chance.
Back to a denial. They're trying to cut off the next pass. This time it's Irondale with the shot through the hoop. Copeland with the shot. 12-10 Spring Lake Park. 1 minute left here in the period. They try to get it into Schusted and picked off by, nice little bit of dipsy-doodle, but Adam Stevens should have just took that to the hoop.
I'll tell you, Charlie, with his own sagging, they shouldn't try and force the ball inside.
They go up strong against Lane.
Cross Chambers. What a shot.
Lane would like to answer and does so. 6 points for Lane, 6 points for Chambers. So far the big guys for offense, pretty dead even. Score 2 points up for the Panthers at 14-12.
I think they're going to go for the last shot of the quarter here.
Really spreading it out are the Panthers. Trying to find a hole in that zone. Inside to Schusted. Nice turnaround move on Lane. Didn't fall. And a foul.
Chambers over the back. I think that's the shot they wanted. I think, though, that they would have preferred that he waited just a second or two before he put it up.
Ross Chambers' first foul. And the shot on the way at half court as no time ever took off the clock. Now there's 1 second left. That was well after the whistle.
No, that's quarter.
Okay, that's what it is. 14-12 lead for Spring Lake Park. At the end of one, we'll be right back. Back at Spring Lake Park Senior High School along with Steve Glynn, this is Charlie Stellick. Spring Lake Park with a surprising lead on the Irondale Knights as we go into the second period of play.
Wade Copeland, it would appear.
Panthers were down 8-0 at the start of the first period as Irondale was just going over the top of them just about every shot. Panthers whittled that away with some great moves inside. There's one of them as Schustad tried to come down with the ball. Check that, not Schustad. Number 52 in the game, that's Dan Forsberg, a 5'11 junior forward, wearing number 52. Couple of substitutes in for Spring Lake Park. We'll get them to you as quickly as we can. In the meantime, here's a shot from the outside by Stevens, and a three-pointer gives Irondale the lead. Kevin Schalander with the ball. Schalander, 5'9", a junior, wearing number 24. There's a three-pointer put up by Chambers that won't fall. Ball's chased down by Korsgren, and Schalander comes up with it. Also in the game, well, that is Schustad, so just two substitutions in for Spring Lake Park to start this second period. Korsgren, strong against Lane, and gets the fall.
I'll tell you, I didn't think Spring Lake Park would be getting very many rebounds. They were working very hard in there. Got some lucky bounces too.
Another three-pointer by Stevens. 2 for 2 from the trade department, and Irondale retakes the lead at 17-16.
From the exact same spot, and that will happen occasionally. A player will find a spot on the floor where he feels very comfortable shooting. In that case, Spring Lake Park's got to force him away from that place. Try and force him to shoot from someplace else.
Bad, ill-advised cross-court pass, picked off, but picked off
you gotta
just
take
as
that.
quickly. Yeah, you bet.
They had a 3-on-2.
Park wanting to set up its half court no matter what, apparently. They were a running team earlier in the season, but
They're trying to force the ball inside, Charlie.
well, without Chambers to handle it, it appears they're not going to be able to. Korsgren comes down with this errant shot
And
from Stevens.
They don't even look up floor. There's just no way that they're going to run.
Korsgren from outside, but that will draw no iron at all. Back come the Knights. They will run. Here's Abramson, who lost control of the ball. Somehow comes up with a dribble. Lane wasn't ready for the surprise pass, and Spring Lake Park comes away with it. Schlender brings up the ball.
Not a very aesthetic second quarter so far.
No, teams were showing each other how to play hoops from one end of the period to the other, but this period has been extremely rough so far.
Korsgren forcing the ball up again now, Charlie.
Trying to find that shooting touch. Foul called on him. Damian Carlson wearing number 45, a 6'3 forward, senior for Spring Lake Park coming into the game, along with Greg Berg, I should say. Tim Schustad also back in the game. And for Irondale, Rocky Hansen, a 6'3 guard, comes in wearing number 15. And at the line, it's Mike Merced, 6 foot forward, and a junior wearing number 45. 2-point lead for the Knights as we come to the 5-minute mark of the half at 18-16. It's been a closer game than we expected, Steve.
Much closer. Spring Lake Park doing a nice job running their plays offensively. Boy, if they could just hit some of those shots that should be going, they'd have quite a sizable lead.
They set up from the outside for the three-pointer. It's Stevens, 3 for 4. 21-16. I think Chuck Gunderson is putting that in his back pocket for when they face the Mounds View Mustangs next.
Mounds View is kind of the king of the three-pointers this year.
Schustad, who had trouble controlling it. Shot from the outside, right at the rim, doesn't fall for Forsberg. Back come the Knights. Soft touch, doesn't fall. 21-16 Knights. Three-pointer doesn't fall, and back come the Knights with the rebound.
Spring Lake Park going cold. Oh,
Waiting for traffic to clear beautifully was Merced.
Nice job.
And Spring Lake Park has seated up. Irondale sprinting out to a 7-point spurt.
Well, Spring Lake Park's got to do something defensively, because what Irondale's doing is they're forcing the ball up the court very quickly and not allowing the Panthers to get into their man-to-man defense, especially in the face of what they want to do. They're kicking the ball outside, keeping Stevens open on those three-point shot attempts before a Panther can get anywhere near him. So they're going to have to keep one or two players back, or at least get somebody in transition that as soon as the shot goes up, get a couple of guys backpedaling to try and force Irondale to slow it down just a little bit.
Got to look at the Spring Lake Park huddle. And here's the points per game average, scored and allowed for both the Knights and the Panthers. This is in the North Suburban Conference, their figures. And the Knights and the Panthers pretty much even as far as scoring and allowing.
Now that you see, though, that the Knights are scoring more than they are allowing, as the Panthers are not. It's pretty much why their records are the way they are, but there's not a huge discrepancy in either one. And neither team really expects to blow another team out or be blown out. But I think Irondale thought they would have a little bit easier of a time than they have thus far.
With a couple of more well-placed shots, they could probably make the edge as big as it was in the early part of the first period when they led by 8-0. Korsgren, two guys on him as soon as he got a hold of the ball. Up against Lane. Now they'll have to kick the ball back out. Korsgren for three. That won't fall. Abramson with the rebound. And back up comes Copeland. Copeland looking to find Stevens. But Stevens has Chambers on him, so he won't try the tray.
Well, they've gone to his zone now.
Had to do it in order to stop the long shots.
2-1-2, it looks like.
And Stevens finding himself open. That'll go out of bounds. Oh, not a good play by Spring Lake Park. They give the ball right back to Vance. And a charge called on him as he went inside. Dave Peterson with the call, and Spring Lake Park will get the ball back. 2:50 left in the period. 23-16, the Knights lead.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Berg was thinking there, but it was going to be their ball. And you never throw it in under your own basket like that.
That's the surest way to spark a dunk.
Oh, missed a bunny.
Yeah, that's the kind of shot Spring Lake Park needs to sink. Irondale moving up so fast, the referees couldn't get out of the way. Here's Vance with the turnover, and that won't fall.
But both teams are taking some very poor shots. Even if the shots aren't bad selection, they're just real stones. Gone cold.
That is to Spring Lake Park's benefit more than Irondale's. Or Schusted and Lane are just battling for the ball back.
There's no way. That's just a mismatch that you should try a lob in there.
No, Lane will see that as fast as you can click your stopwatch. Beautiful block by Korsgren, but I think he'll get the foul.
See if they're going to call it on the arm or with the body. Yep, on the arm. Thought he had mostly ball.
Thought he did too, but rarely do you see referees in high school ball call that as a good play. Abrahamson, back of the stem. Irondale, not a proficient free throw shooting team. We mentioned that a couple of times in our pregame. And so far, have not been able to take advantage of scoring opportunities when the clock is stopped here in this game.
Yeah, Steve Alford wouldn't have anything to worry about. These two teams.
No, not much.
Oh, took a walk.
That's just inexperience there from Berg. Not used to putting up the three-pointer, I would guess.
I'll tell you, after a pretty fast-paced first quarter as far as scoring goes, things have slowed down considerably.
Well, Irondale went out to that 7-point spurt after taking the lead at 18-16. Lane now with the shot. That won't fall. Vance trying to get the ball on a jump hook, and that doesn't fall on the touch.
And Vance with the push.
Yeah, he really belted Korsgren out of the way. Mike Vance with his second personal, and that will put Spring Lake Park at the line. 1:24 left here in the half, and Merced will go in for Vance, I would think. Merced, 45, going in for Vance, number 5. So Vance with 2 fouls will sit down. And at the line, Anders Korsgren. Early on, one of the biggest scorers in the North Suburban Conference. That shot did not fall. The foul didn't either. And Irondale very content to run it up court underneath the stem, and the foul by Merced goes in. He's got 4 from the bench.
Boy, Spring Lake Park just can't buy one.
Well, they have had a number of opportunities around the cylinder and have just watched them bang off the iron. Korsgren. Chambers with the foul. That doesn't fall. There we finally get one going in. And for Chambers, that's his 4th field goal. Don't know where that was headed. Three lead changes here in the half, but Irondale has really sprinted out since the third one. 25-18, they lead. 30 seconds left in the half.
Kind of spread out that 2-3 zone Irondale has.
They'll call the blocking foul, as not set was Tom Lake. Lake's wearing number 23, a 5'9" junior guard. So both teams substituting liberally here at Spring Lake Park. And at the line is Berg. Berg, and that's the first free throw in the book for either team.
No, Ross Chambers hit one earlier.
Check that, that's right. Hit the front end of a 2-point shot.
But still,
yeah.
your point was a lot of missed opportunities.
Spring Lake Park going into a diamond-in-one trap. That leaves Schusted alone to face the pressure of Lane, and the reverse layup will go in.
Nice move there by the big man.
8 seconds left. Korsgren would like to put up a three-pointer, but he's not open. Schusted, great athletic ability. That doesn't fall. Lane comes down with it, and that's the end of the half. Still, though, Spring Lake Park with a 7-point deficit at the end of the half. That's a little less than most of us would have expected, and they're happy to take that into the locker room. We'll be back right after you see this. Back at Spring Lake Park Senior High School, the Irondale Knights have taken a 7-point lead on the Spring Lake Park Panthers after the Panthers had led them by 14-12 at halftime. That after the Irondale Knights had taken an 8-0 lead to start the game. So this has been a game of seesaws, Steve. It's been one where the Irondale Knights have come up with the latest saw. They went on a 7-point spurt after taking the lead for the third time in the second period. And so far it's been all Irondale since then, but Spring Lake Park has not had their lack of shots. They've had some good offensive opportunities, but just haven't been able to convert.
Well, we don't keep track of things like shooting percentage, but if we did, I think we'd see that Spring Lake Park is shooting not much better than 30%, even if that high. And a lot of those misses have come from actually pretty close in. Some of that is the height of Irondale. Spring Lake Park's having to alter their shots, and some of it is just plain poor shooting by the Spring Lake Park Panthers. And they could be either caught up to Irondale or ahead in this game if they would just hit some of those shots that they should be making. And they're actually doing a lot better job on the rebounds, especially offensively, than we thought they would. Irondale started out, as you mentioned, very hot, kind of cooled down and finished up pretty strongly, but I think that they thought that they'd be ahead by a little bit more at halftime here. So it's really anybody's ball game with the entire second half to be played. Spring Lake Park's just got to get a little bit hot, and Irondale, I think, is with the lead. It's got to slow down, take a little bit better shot selection, and not force the ball up so quickly.
Let's take a quick look at the scoring statistics for the first half. And Chambers, the leader for the Spring Lake Park Panthers, with 9. Balanced scoring for the Irondale Knights, as all of their players are in the scoring column, including Mike Merced. Stevens, the leader, with 9, most of that from three-point range. In fact, all of it from three-point range. He's 3 for 4 from the tray line. Jeremy Lane with some early inside scoring, but he hasn't been gone to as of late. And everybody else tallying with 2. Merced has 4. Everybody else on the Spring Lake Park Panther lineup, or Korsgren with 7. And that's about the best that the Panthers can do besides Chambers' 9.
Pretty balanced, as you said. There's nobody that really standing out, unless you think that have to look at Stevens, I guess, with his 3 for 4 shooting, three-point land.
He has been something else. But they have to set him up, and Spring Lake Park saw that earlier in the game.
Well, you just have to wonder why Irondale got away from getting the ball to Jeremy Lane inside.
Well, we'll see if they try and get it to him once again. Lane playing strong post. He's got 2 players on him at the moment as Vance steps out. Lane from the outside, and he's not going to make the Panthers think they have to draw to him if he keeps doing that.
I'm sure that that's not the shot that Irondale wants. Important for Spring Lake Park to hit early.
And especially on this possession. Korsgren to Chambers, and that will fall. Panthers have really been setting up their offense well, Steve.
As long as they don't try and force the ball inside, that's where their turnovers have come.
Which means Tim Schusted's not going to see a whole lot of scoring. There he is guarding Lane. Lane with the turnaround. That's pretty much a gimme for him.
Very nice touch around the basket. Plays well with his back to the basket. But Spring Lake Park, you know, get the ball inside a little bit, but don't force it in. Maybe get it in and kick it back out, get those shots open.
Schusted tried to take it inside once he got the ball up the charity stripe and was really fronted. Here is Chambers with the same situation. They kick it back out. Korsgren, he'll shoot from three-point range. That won't fall. A couple of Panthers went for the ball. Vance comes out with it. Back to Abramson from the charity stripe. Bangs off the front of the rim.
Vance with that shot, it looks very awkward. I'm sure it's natural for him, but it looks like he's shooting with the ball already stretched out in front of him. Just doesn't seem like he can get much behind it.
Looking for a man cutting underneath the baseline. Korsgren does that job. He tries another three-pointer, and that won't fall. Copeland streaks up the court with the rebound and sets up to Stevens, who's been deadly from there. He hung the net almost. Stevens' 4th three-pointer of the game. He's 4 for 5.
And that'll stretch a defense up. But Korsgren has missed on his last, I'd guess probably 7, 8 field goal attempts.
Drive inside, that won't fall. Vance using his height.
Reminds me a little bit of Trin Steinmarch. You remember him?
Sure do.
He used to like to go from the corner.
Ten-point lead for the Knights as they have not let up on the Panthers one bit. 32-22. 5:30 left here in the third period of play.
But again, just poor percentage shooting is what's really going to hurt them.
Schusted and Lane sends that into the area vacated by the band, or the tuba player might have had to pull it out of the horn.
No dinner tonight for Tim Schusted after eating that basketball.
That's plenty of leather there.
How'd you expect that's got to happen with an 8-inch height difference?
And the ball caught behind the bleachers that they have there. A little difficult to extricate. Korsgren will inbound. Schusted will take it up against Lane, and Lane will come back with it as it drew iron. They tried the alley to Abramson, who lost control of it.
Took his eyes off the ball, tried to see where he was in relation to the basket.
Worrying about the baseline.
Seems strange, Charlie, after so many years to see Spring Lake Park not even attempt to run. That used to be their bread and butter.
Well, when Dennis Krishka, especially when he had the likes of Brian Sorbury in his lineup, that's all you ever saw. Shot from Schusted. Oh, he had it open, but it didn't
I think
fall.
they're going to call Chambers over the back.
Yep. That's his second over the back foul, too.
No, they're going to call Schusted, I think.
Some consternation as to who the foul is on. The clock, after a light show here to start to comprise part of the entertainment at halftime, has not come back on.
See, now they're calling Schusted, but it was obviously Chambers. And the bench says. Okay.
Yeah, there it is. There's
They've
Chambers.
changed it.
Okay. So Chambers gets his second. Now the clock lights up. And we're back underway. Park trying some pressure, but Irondale gets right through that with no trouble. Copeland leading the way. I don't know what Copeland was thinking about between he and Stevens, but obviously a mental mismatch there.
Spring Lake Park, I'm sorry, that time did a nice job getting back on D. Not let Irondale set up quickly for the shot.
Alley-oop to Chambers, and Lane says no thank you. You get the feeling, Steve, the only way to get past this 2-3 zone is to bounce pass it.
Got to do something.
Forsgren gets set up nicely. That doesn't fall. Vance with a great save, but it comes right to a Park Panther. Waiting and shooting, but it went off the backboard for Berg.
Again, Forsgren got himself free that time. Nice pick by Pat Schusted.
Pretty give and go between Lane and Vance. So Vance his second field goal of the evening, and the Panthers stretch the lead to 34-22. Well, it's pretty obvious that Jeremy Lane is going to stop any attempt on the alley-oop pass.
Well, and it's pretty futile to try it against a front line that has you by about 6 inches man.
Kicked by Stevens. It'll be Spring Lake Park Panther ball.
Stevens is kind of taken over where Bart Mosman left off last year. Floor leader, feisty point guard type. I think Mosman went to the basket a little bit more often than Stevens does, but Stevens obviously has got a little bit better touch outside. And I don't know what Forsgren was thinking there, but he just bounced past it to Stevens. That was a nice pass.
Well, so much for my bit of coaching. Abramson with the drive, but that isn't going to work. Now from the top of the key, there's Stevens. Bingo. 5 3-pointers, and he's 5 and 6 for the night. 37-22. Irondale stretching out big on Spring Lake Park, and Todd Bergstead wants a timeout.
Well, they've been outscored. Spring Lake Park has 10-2 here in the third quarter. That won't get you into a whole lot of games.
Bergstead trying to call something up for his team, as he did in the first period when the Knights came sprinted out to an 8-0 lead to start the game, and then the Panthers came back and took the lead at 12-8. And but ahead by 4 at one time.
Since then, it's been pretty much all Knights.
Getting a look at some of the Irondale cheerleaders. Becky Coleman, Becky Engberg, Melissa Enruth, Holly Fletcher, Amy Selby, Bridget Wald, and Sarah Wernos. And Al Zedlick just informing them that I did their names, so they wanted to take over the camera for a second. Can't blame him.
There he is. Sure, I bet Al's really hating that down there.
Yeah? Al always was shy. Look, Mom, we're on TV.
Oh, we know we're going to have at least 8 people watching the replays of this game.
Oh, sure. Got to do a Channel 11 once in a while. Spring Lake Park, there's Schusted open alone, goes up against Abramson, but that didn't fall. Had to really airball it to even get it close to the rim. Touch shot, that doesn't fall on the runner. And here comes Stevens. Stevens, if he finds Lane, Lane up with the shot. No problem. Nice pass by Stevens.
I was going to say the same thing. Beautiful pass by Stevens. Heads up play by Lane to follow and get himself in position for that.
Tipped by Copeland, but controlling it is Berg. Bounce pass, Lane kicks it out to Copeland. 3-on-2 break, and Copeland will take it up alone. Off the stem, it won't fall. Stevens with the follow.
So Stevens can hit a layup.
Yeah, his sole source of scoring so far is 5 3-pointers. Oh boy, what defense by Irondale. They had Ellis just fronted and backed on that one, and now Irondale into the strength of its game, which is running. If they can run on a team, they will. They haven't had the opportunity to do it very often.
And there you saw Copeland doing a nice job of protecting the ball as he was going in for the layup. And Spring Lake Park's going to have to start putting up some outside shots here pretty quick. And
Copeland will get whistled for crashing into Berg. Some wholesale substitutions being made by Irondale. A 16-2 run by the Irondale Knights to start the half, and there's one of the guys you say goodnight to after every game. Actually, there's 2 of them in the picture.
there's my daughter, my newest daughter, 3-month-old Andrea, my wife Kim, son Kevin.
And just out of the picture,
right there, she's looking up.
She hates having her picture taken. I'm surprised she even looked.
That's the one who started it all. Was Maura. There you get a close-up of my newest daughter.
Now, we do baby shots all the time, folks. We're just being real particular about this one. Scott Poundstone providing the close-up.
And I appreciate it. I don't get to join you very much. And let's take a look at the Associated Press Top 10.
Mounds View, no question. Durham Hall, no question. Everybody else has a loss on their record. Jefferson, Henry, and Apple Valley. Big battle going on in the Lake Red.
Minnetonka moved up to 6 from 10.
And that's after being upset early by St. Louis Park. Owatonna, Fergus Falls, and you saw the rest. White Bear Lake also in that mess. It's really a quandary as to find out who's the top team beyond Cretin, Durham Hall, and Mounds View. So long. Ellis's shot drew Lane into the fracas, and Lane, I think, got called for the hack. For Lane, that's his third personal. He's put it up on the clock as his second.
Well, it's tough to call that a foul when you see that ball just go shooting the other way like that.
So it's Ellis at the line, shooting 2, and he drops 1. Ellis gets the second, and the 6'2 forward, wearing number 14, brings it up to more respectable lead. At least it's less than 20. 10 seconds. Oh, beautiful defense. Irondale has just put Spring Lake Park under its heel to start the second half, but occasionally Spring Lake Park comes up with a good play. Trying to find the open man, but nothing will fall, and they're set controlled on the baseline.
Todd Bergstedt opting to give some non-regulars some playing time.
That one won't fall. Tipped by Ellis, and he controlled as it went out of the baseline. 43-24, 104 left here in the third period of play. The Irondale Knights and the Spring Lake Park Panthers. Panthers made it a game early, but since then Irondale has been doing it inside and outside. Here's Lane finding some room on the inside. That won't fall. And finally Stevens on the 4th offensive rebound. That's more like the game we expected to see. Three-pointer from Ellis.
That should have been, yep.
Yeah, it bounced off the standard.
All the Spring Lake Park players are looking to make an impression on the first-year varsity coach. Somebody's got to be able to hit a shot.
Ball tipped. Lane doesn't care. He puts the shot up. And it's controlled by Spring Lake Park with Lane out of there taking the shot. A little easier to do. 4 seconds. 3, 2. Not a good idea. And Irondale takes a 45-24 lead into the final 8 minutes of regulation. We'll be right back. Irondale 45, Spring Lake Park 24, and if you can possibly help it, catch that show. Focus on February 1st, one of the hallowed institutions, if you will, in the state of Minnesota, being made into a political football almost.
Do you have a view one way or the other?
I sure do, but it would take me a lot longer than just a few seconds to express it. Let's just say I'm not in favor of it.
Neither am I. It gives the... Now they say more kids can get to the state tournament, but that's half the fun for some of those outstate schools.
Well, not only that, but the present proposal is not even going to give those kids the chance. Schustad, ball altered by Lane to start the 4th period. Here comes Vance. Chuck Gunderson keeping his starters in. Copeland wanting to drive and does so, but hard off the stem, didn't use enough glass. Stevens, check that, not Stevens, but number 23, Tom Lake in the game. And the pass goes firing right past. I think Schustad stopped it with his hand. He's pulling on it.
It was Trav one wherever it was headed. So Spring Lake Park scoring just 4 points in that 3rd quarter.
Yep, outscored 16-4 to start the half. Oh, it just doesn't matter who's in the game. Lake buries that one. Forsgren would like to answer, but he's got Vance on him, so there's not much of a chance of that happening. Chambers, however, left open. Bangs off the rim, no good. Controlled by Schustad, Pat Schustad. And we'll start all over again. Korsgren up against Lane, but little hard off the glass and a little off. Lake leading the break, but Spring Lake Park fouling before Vance can get a chance to go for it, and Chambers is going to get whistled.
Well, you hate to discourage anybody from shooting, especially someone who has proven they can score like Korsgren, but as I mentioned in the pregame, just 1 for 21 in the 2 games before this. He hit a couple of early shots, but since then has just been stone cold. I think he might give it up and see if somebody else can hit it, although to date, nobody else has taken over that shooting role.
Well, Tim Schustad, and there you see a good example right there. He had Copeland at his back and Lane at the front. He's ordinarily one of the leading scorers for Spring Lake Park, but Lane has just shut him down completely. Schustad with just 1 bucket in the game, and that came early in the 1st period. Somehow Lane came up with that scramble. That didn't score.
Well, they tried to give and go. Spring Lake Park got a hand on it, and Lane came up with it. But... Oh.
I'm going to say if that went in, Chambers, oh, that's just been the way it's been for the Panthers. All kinds of opportunities around the cylinder, but it just won't go down.
Well, some good D there by an Irondale Knight flying by to force Korsgren to alter that shot, but I'll tell you, that was about as close as he's come to making one, and that was a prayer.
It was. Irondale a day ahead of Spring Lake Park at 48-24.
Wade Copeland picking the pocket there, but was called for the foul. Very tough call.
Yeah.
Ref had certainly a better view of it than we did, but from here it looked like he kind of picked him clean.
5:33 left in the game. 24-point lead for the Irondale Knights on Spring Lake Park. Schustad left alone as Lane forgot about him for once, and Abramson will get called on, again, what looked like a good defensive play, Steve.
Yep, looked like he had all ball.
Chuck Gunderson, game comfortably in hand, but has not elected to go to his reserves with a 24-point lead. Well, the free throws won't come into effect here, Steve.
No, but it's still a good chance to work on him. Gets the second one. Tried to call timeout. But the ref called 5 seconds.
Gunderson can't believe it.
Well, in a close game, you could bet that he'd scream a whole lot more.
Right now, he just gets the icy stare going. Chambers and Schustad trying to control over Lane. That's a mismatch if ever there was one, although Schustad is not going to back down. He was an all-conference linebacker in the North Suburban Conference, and he led the team in tackles, led the conference in tackles, and missed 4 games. Trying the alley to Chambers. Just isn't going to fall for the Panthers tonight. There's a lid on it. 5 minutes left, and here comes Irondale. Lake is the only non-starter in the game. He gets the ball, drives around pressure, fired it to Lane, who wasn't ready for it. Lake trying again for an inlet pass, and Vance couldn't sink it. Held ball, Lane. Saying, hey, look at the hands, coach. And they're not dishpans either. Won't fall, and back up come the Irondale Knights.
Irondale should be very patient with it here.
Oh, really? They could run set plays if they want to as Spring Lake Park gets set to replace their entire lineup. And here they come.
Nice call, guy.
52, Dan Forsberg in the game. 24, Kevin Schalander. 44 is Jay Alexander. 45, Damian Carlson. And 14, Jeff Ellis. As that will do it for the Spring Lake Park starters. Down 48 to 25. Irondale will probably go with a few substitutes as well, and here they come. In is Ryan Ashland. Also Rocky Hansen. More buzzers, more new people. Copeland and Lake are the guards for Irondale. And Brissett, Ashland, and Rocky Hansen, the front court for Irondale. Three-pointer on the way, but that won't fall.
That was kind of a prayer.
Still quite a height advantage in the front court for Irondale. Although this new group of Panthers, fresh legs and all, are really putting a lot of pressure on Irondale. Held ball even from over the back as a pair of 45s struggle for it. 43, Andy Beck will come into the game. And sitting down will be Wade Copeland. 3:39 left in the game, 49 to 25 lead for the Knights. It just doesn't matter who they put in.
Rocky Lanson.
Ball tipped. It comes right to Hansen. Check that Ashland, Ryan Ashland. Ashland gets it away under pressure. Here comes Spring Lake Park.
Nice block.
Beautiful block by Ashland, but the baseball pass is going to end up in a blue shirt's hands.
It wasn't a bad idea to get it down court, but
Yeah.
put a lot of air under that.
Damian Carlson sinks that one for Spring Lake Park. 52 to 27, the Knights with the lead. Park with a whole new set of fresh horses in. Putting renewed pressure on what's left of the Irondale reserves. They're set. A walk-up shot doesn't fall. It'll be Spring Lake Park ball. Well, Steve, it's time to start. Brian Gerson's in for Spring Lake Park. You know who they need, don't you?
They need Lance Olson. I was kind of disappointed not to see his old number hanging from the rafters here in the Spring Lake Park gym. He was here earlier. I don't see him now. I haven't seen him since the start of the game, but goes to school at nearby. Oh, Spring Lake Park, that one to fall. Goes to school at nearby Anoka Ramsey. I'm sure he makes quite a few of the Panther games.
Familiar with the coach there as well in hoops, as it's Dennis Krishka.
I like Lance, though. He's a tough-nosed ball player. Wasn't glamorous, but he got the job done.
Now, he wasn't the type for hitch and dip dunks, but he was a gutty player for the Panthers. That's just the way the Panthers have been playing throughout this entire game. They've been outmanned and outgunned, but they have never given up. Paul Buckner at the line. 1:47 left on the clock, 53 to 29. That one in and out, and it's controlled by Brian Gressens. Shot on the way, it bangs off the front of the rim. Here comes Irondale. Some of the reserves playing in the B squad game, of course, you're allowed 1 quarter of play, or 2, I believe it is. They're used to this running style of play as well, so not a whole lot of change offensively, style-wise, for Irondale. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Steve Carlson buries that three-pointer. Irondale has 4 people who have scored on three-pointers. Stevens had 5 before he went to the bench for the final time. Lake, Hansen, and now Carlson have also put it in from outside the tray.
They just, when it rains, it pours, I guess.
I guess.
6:29. Almost an entire half gone by, and Spring Lake Park been held to 9 points.
Yeah, this is a real tough night for Todd Birdstead. No question that he came into this game thinking it was going to be a closer contest, and early in the game there was reason to believe that. An 8-0 lead by Irondale erased by Spring Lake Park. In fact, the Panthers held a 14-12 lead at the end of the first period of play, but Irondale put on a 7-point spurt and led 27-20 at half, and they have not looked back since. Hockey 90 returns on KABL Channel 52. Our replays start Valentine's Day as we'll bring you a doubleheader. Lane versus White Bear Lake, who just suffered their first loss of the year, so no team is unbeaten in Minnesota hockey. And Anoka versus Hill Murray. Both should be dandies, and both will be on KABL 52. Ashlyn burying that free throw. Ashlyn at 6'4" and a senior. Expecting to see a little more playing time as games like this will continue, although this is really about the only easy game on the schedule for the Knights. St. Francis, ordinarily a patsy in most of the other contests that they'll play in the North Suburban. Very tough in basketball, as the Knights found out when they lost to them 85-84. Just rolling it up, Steve. Doesn't matter who's in for Irondale.
Or Spring Lake Park, it seems. Nobody can really buy a bucket.
Knights come up the floor. 3-on-2 break. Tipped at the last second. Saved and down into the base, or into the bleacher area. Somebody on the Spring Lake Park side of things got a leather face. Doesn't appear anybody's hurt.
Little X10L embossed on the side of their head now.
Six seconds left on the clock as it goes out of bounds. Underneath the hoop, it'll be Irondale basket. All they want to do is finish off with another hoop to end this game. Ashlyn pulls up off the rim. They'll get it. Sinking that is Paul Bigner, and that will be the end of it. The Irondale Knights finish a drubbing of the Spring Lake Park Panthers. 62-29 is your final. We'll be back with a summary right after you see this. (62-29) the final in North Suburban Conference play, as the Irondale Knights just lorded right over the Spring Lake Park Panthers in a game that was expected to be a little closer than that. In fact, Spring Lake Park had a 14-12 lead on Irondale to finish the first period, but then Irondale went on a 7-point spurt in the second period, and Spring Lake Park could never recover after that. Steve, we're not even going to bother with a scoreboard. We'll just tell you who the leading scorers are for both teams. Anders Korsgren with 9 and Ross Chambers with 12 for the Spring Lake Park Panthers. That was pretty much the bulk of their scoring, as they only scored 29 in the game, of course. Adam Stevens, the leading scorer from the outside, as he buried 5 3-pointers, 19 points for Stevens, and Jeremy Lane also in double figures with 12. Another figure that Zig Calls, if he's watching this game, should probably be aware of. 4 players scoring from behind, from the 3-point line for the Irondale Knights. Not only Stevens with 5, but Lake, Hansen, and Carlson also with 3-pointers in this game.
Well, I'll tell you, all you really need to know is that Irondale outscored them 35-9 in the second half, and that'll tell you everything you need to know. And I can't begin to guess what Spring Lake Park's shooting percentage was, but I would guess in the teens. They were just horrendous from the field tonight. They had their opportunities, that's for sure. Had some pretty decent shots. They just couldn't get anything to fall, and they stayed close the first half and played pretty well, but when you can't shoot, you're certainly not going to win very many ball games.
That is the case here. The Spring Lake Park Panthers around the cylinder all evening, but just couldn't get it to fall. The Irondale Knights, inside or outside, it didn't really matter, although it appears their inside game is going to need a lot more work if they're going to face the Mounds View Mustangs, which they will do here on KABL Channel 52 in a couple of weeks, and we'll have it for you. Let's take a look, first of all, at some games that are upcoming next on KABL 52. We've got the Anoka Tornadoes and the White Bear Lake Bears. That should be a dandy. That'll be February 3rd at 10 p.m. for the first playback. That's the next boys basketball action. The next girls basketball action will be those same Tornadoes, the girls side of things, versus the Blaine Bengals. And the first playback you'll see on there will be January 31st. So once again, your final from Spring Lake Park Senior High School, the Irondale Knights putting it under the heel as they beat the Spring Lake Park Panthers in North Suburban Conference action by a score of 62-29. For producer Bob Krause and Steve Glenn, this is Charlie Stellick, thanking you for watching.
Good night, Maura. Good night, Kevin. Good night, Andrea.